Hello health champions! Today I want to talk about why intermittent fasting burns fat faster. Coming right up. Hey, I'm Dr. Ekberg. I'm a holistic doctor and a former Olympic decathlete. And if you want to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Now, anything that's successful and gets popular, but that's a little bit off the beaten path, is going to get a lot of controversy around it. So we're going to talk about 5 reasons why fat is burned faster when you fast. The first way that fasting helps burn fat is that it's very effective at depleting hepatic glycogen. Hepatic just means liver, and glycogen is a storage form of excess carbohydrate. The body can't store a whole lot of carbohydrate, but it can store some, and it stores it in the muscles, which is fuel for the muscles, but the glycogen can't get from the muscles to the rest of the body. However, the liver is a reserve of carbohydrate for the rest of the body. Now I want to clear something up about fuel. The body has 3 types of fuels available: carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And it does burn them preferentially in this order, but it's not like a lot of people have said or been told that you will only burn carbs first, that you will not burn any fat until 100% of the carbs are gone. That's just not how it works. There's always a mix of fuels that are being burned. Protein is being spared as much as possible. You really just burn protein if none of these are available, or if you have eaten excess protein. If there's more protein by far available, then some of that's going to be used for fuel. But carbs and fat are used in a different proportion depending on how much is available. If a lot of carbs are available, it'll burn mostly carbs, and then there's a very low incentive to burn fat. So as you burn through the carbs, as your glycogen stores go down, now the incentive to burn fat increases. And it generally takes 12 to 24 hours to deplete the hepatic glycogen, or to reduce it significantly to where fat burning kicks in. A lot of people only get about 8 hours of fasting. The people who eat a late meal and then breakfast the first thing in the morning, they might only get 8 hours of fasting, or even less if they sleep 5 or 6 hours. And during that time, you probably get into a little bit of fat burning, but very, very little fat is being burned. However, if you can increase that fasting period, if you skip the breakfast and you have your first meal at lunch, let's say, and then you have your last meal at 8, now you have a 16-hour fasting window, and now you're giving your body a much, much better opportunity to burn fat. And if you can stretch that even a couple of more hours, now that's 2 more hours where your body gets better and better, where you're shifting more and more toward fat burning. And obviously, the longer you can stretch that, the more fat you burn. The second way that fasting burns fat is by reducing insulin. Whenever we eat something, insulin is released, and insulin is a storage hormone. So when insulin is high, we really can't burn much fat at all. Therefore, lowering insulin increases fat burning, and fasting is the most powerful way to reduce insulin. So by lowering insulin, fasting allows us to become fat burning, and even more important long term is fat adapted. We can teach the body through longer periods of fasting, longer than 8 hours at least, we teach the body to use fat as the primary fuel. And as you probably know if you watched a few videos, sugar and carbs will increase insulin the most. So we can start reducing insulin by eating low carbs. That'll keep insulin and glycogen lower. But if you think about it, fasting is 0 carbs. During the time that you're fasting, you're introducing 0 carbs to the body. So that's the fastest, most powerful way to reduce insulin. The The third mechanism by which fasting increases fat burning is that it upregulates fat-burning hormones. When you fast, you increase human growth hormone. And while there's a lot of things such as high-intensity interval training that can raise human growth hormone tremendously, fasting is the most powerful. And a longer fast, like 3 to 5 days, can increase it up to 1,250%. However, you don't have to go quite that long to get significant benefits. Even with a 16, 18, 20-hour fast, you're still getting dramatically higher level of growth hormone than if you're eating 6 meals a day. A tremendous additional benefit is that it's muscle sparing. And that's another myth that you hear a lot, is that fasting would waste muscles. And no, it does not. Unless you're just completely starving. If your body has no resources, then of course, eventually you're going to waste some muscle as well. But fasting produces growth hormone for the purpose of sparing the muscle and burning the fat. So that's another mechanism that allows that selective using of fat. Another hormone is norepinephrine or noradrenaline. And even though that is a stress hormone, we have to keep in mind that some stress is beneficial, that when we do things like exercise and cold showers and fasting, those are physiologically beneficial. By stressing the body just a little bit, we give it a reason to do something better. The fourth mechanism is that fasting allows a longer period of fat burning. So once we are fat burning, the more time we stay in that state, then it's obvious we're going to burn more fat. Okay, you knew that. But think of it this way also, that even if you eat low carb, I mean, if you eat high carb, it's more so, but even low carb, a meal is an interruption in fat burning. When you don't put any fuel in, the only fuel available is on the body. But as soon as you put fuel in, now the body has a choice. It can burn the fuel on the body or the stuff that you just put in, and obviously it's going to reduce the burning of the fat on the body. So think about it this way. If you have a calorie restriction diet, you're eating 3 meals a day plus snacks, but you're eating really, really low calorie foods like 100 calorie snacks and 200 calorie meals, low fat, rice cakes and things like that. The blue line represents blood sugar, insulin and glycogen, because all three of those go together and they interfere with fat burning. So let's say that you had a meal the night before and then you go to bed and now you're in fat storing mode because your body has to store away, it has to process through the meal that you had. But then sometime during the night you cross over and you're done with the storing and you get into fat burning. But then you wake up and you have breakfast, so now you get into fat storing again, and if you're eating really low calories, then the food isn't going to last that long, so you probably dip into just a little bit of fat burning, but you're eating high carb, low fat, so you have to eat frequently and you're hungry and you're just eating tiny, tiny bites of things. So you're burning a little bit of fat, but you're interrupting that fat burning throughout the day. So here's a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack. And maybe between you get a little bit of fat burning, but most of the time you spend in storing. And because you're reducing calories, but you're not really burning a whole lot of fat, that is what reduces your metabolism. You're constantly pushing your insulin, which is storing, so now your body doesn't have the fuel and it has to slow the metabolism to compensate for that low calorie input. And then you have your evening snack and then you go to bed and you repeat the whole process. Now let's say that you try intermittent fasting, but you're eating the same types of food, lots of bread and pasta and oatmeal and so forth. So you're starting off at the same point and you're crossing it at about the same place during the night. You get into fat burning, but when you wake up, you don't have breakfast first thing. You go 4 more hours before lunch, and that gives you 4 more hours of fat burning. So you get a longer period and you get a little bit deeper into fat burning. Then you have one meal and then you get into a little bit of fat burning before you have your evening meal, and then you start over again. So this is better than this because you're allowing longer periods of reducing insulin, so your body is going to have more access to the fat stores. You're not going to get as hungry, and the incentive to lower your metabolism is not as strong as with the frequent meals. But there's always a better way. So let's combine intermittent fasting with low carbs. So it's the same 2 meals, but because it's low carbs, we're starting at a lower level of glucose, we're starting with lower glycogen and lower insulin. So it's not going to take us as long. We're going to hit that fat burning zone much earlier during the night, and even if we eat at the same time at lunch or in the afternoon, we have spent more time in fat burning and we get to a much deeper, more profound level of fat burning on low carb. Then we eat, but we're not raising the glucose and insulin and glycogen as much. So again, we get quicker back to the fat burning. We're always closer to fat burning on a low carb diet. And then of course we have our meal and we repeat it. But all in all, with low carb and intermittent fasting, you spend much more time in fat burning than either of these other examples. The 5th way it helps burn fat is that it helps you eat less. All right, how does it do that? It helps with improving insulin sensitivity. When you're fasting, insulin goes down, you become more insulin sensitive. And that makes more fat available for burning. The calorie counting mafia is right. You have to eat fewer calories than you burn if you want to lose weight. But they're wrong in that calories are the thing to focus on. You can't just eat fewer calories. You have to eat fewer calories in a way that doesn't make you hungry. And that's what fasting allows you to do. When insulin is high, it's a storage hormone. It packs away the fat. And when insulin goes down, that fat becomes available. Now we have an additional fuel source. We don't have to rely just on the calories we eat. We can add the calories that were just liberated by lowering insulin. So now we have more fuel available from the body. Our energy reserves, the available energy reserves just increased, and therefore we get less hungry. Another way is that insulin is tied to leptin, and leptin is a satiety hormone. When you eat, you're supposed to get full, and when you put food in your body, leptin is produced, and leptin tells the brain that, hey, I had something to eat, I'm full. But insulin blunts, it blocks the message of leptin. So you eat, and the leptin goes to tell the brain, hey, I'm full, but now that message doesn't reach the brain, so you keep eating. You're still hungry. So by improving insulin sensitivity, we also improve leptin sensitivity. We restore the fullness signaling, and you get less hungry. Is intermittent fasting a good diet? Well, I don't like to call anything a diet. I just want to look at how does it work for health and how does it work for results. And does it get results? Absolutely. Can it fit into your lifestyle and is it sustainable? Absolutely. What's the point of doing something if it's not sustainable? If you do something that creates a certain result but you don't maintain it, then it's just a matter of time before you're back where you started or worse. So it's absolutely sustainable. Is it easy? Yes, it's the easiest thing you can do because all you do is you do less of something you're already doing. So instead of eating 6 meals, you go down to 3 and then you go down to 2 and maybe go down to 1. It's about not doing something you're already doing. How much easier could it get? Then there are different patterns. So which one do you pick? Well, I would suggest that you start with something like a 16-8 and then you go to whatever length of fasting gets you the results that you're looking for. So if you get the results with 16 hours of fasting and 8-hour feeding window, great. If you need to go a little further, then that's what you do. And then once you've reached the goals, then depending on your schedule and your lifestyle, based on your metabolism and your genetics, then you might go to OMAD and then you might backtrack, or you might stay on 1 meal a day. A lot of people, once they've lost the weight, they probably will go back to a 16-8 or 18-6. Personally, I do a combination of these three. Occasionally, I'll do a 2-day fast, and I plan to start doing a 3-day fast about once a quarter. But for the most part, I just stick to these because it's super convenient. I eat 1 large meal a day and sometimes a smaller one. And for me, that lifestyle fits perfectly. I love the fact that I'm not organizing my life around food. If I get 1 or 2 meals somewhere in the day, then I'm good. I don't have to wake up first thing in the morning and get some food. I don't have to worry about when I'm out, where am I going to get lunch. If I get to it, great. If not, I'll just eat later. So once your body gets used to it, you will wonder why you didn't do it sooner. But wait, there's some bonuses also. And I know you're saying that I just wanted to lose the weight, that's all I care about. But if you do this through fasting, then feeling good and getting healthy is just the terrible price that you're gonna have to pay. You will reduce diabetes, you will reduce the risk of dementia, you will have a lesser tendency for high blood pressure, you will reduce osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. It will improve mental clarity and mood. Fasting can help normalize your microbiome. So your gut flora, the bacteria living in your gut, there is a balance there. And the better that balance, the healthier you are. It can have a lot of influence on your immune system and your metabolism, your cravings, and so forth. So fasting can help improve, can normalize and balance that flora and help move you toward insulin sensitivity. Fasting has tremendous benefits on your immune system, and it can slow or interfere or even reverse cancer. Fasting is one of the easiest ways to slow aging, and most of all, like we've said, it is so easy and sustainable, which is a great thing now that you're going to live a lot longer. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more about how the body really works, I think that you'll really like that video too. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.